I want to specifically talk about Asian men and Black women solidarity. From not only history to like pop culture, and I'm talking about like Janet Jackson, Aaliyah, Gabrielle Union. There was this report that came out maybe like 10 years ago about the intersection between race, desirability, and gender, and like the hierarchy of this. And the ranking was like, like white people on top, and then it went through the other races. And at this perceived bottom of this desirability spectrum was like Asian men in men and Black women. And how there's this, of course, I think pushback when you start to love yourself, when you see like an Asian dating another Asian, or you see like Black love. But I think something that gets kind of like the powers that be, people that create this hierarchical structure, they get more upset also when they get the most upset when also the most disenfranchised kind of come together in solidarity. When Janet Jackson showed that like Asian men can be really desirable in the If video, when Aaliyah and Jet Li were like romantic partners in Romeo Must Die. Even in these instances, like there is an interesting oppressive element at play where for like Romeo Must Die, white execs would not let Aaliyah and Jet Li kiss at the end of the movie because like both Black women and Asian men were not allowed to be seen as desirable. I will remember my meeting with Gabrielle Union's company like for the rest of my life. Like I was a nobody writer and her company had read my script and they absolutely loved it. And they just brought me in to like tell me to keep going and that my story was important and that my voice was important. And like Gabrielle Union specifically said like Asian men and Black women need to stick together because people look at us and expect us to like hate ourselves. And I just couldn't fathom that because it's just like Gabrielle Union is like one of the most beautiful women in the world. But I always think that it's so interesting that the people that started following me first on this app was all Black women. Because in the end, like Black women are the tastemakers. And then once people see that a Black woman likes something, then everyone else will follow suit. So finally now I'm getting like Asian followers, which is very interesting. Because like Asian people are often trying to chase this like model minority myth. They don't understand that the main culture will cut them off whenever they see fit. Whenever you get too much power, whenever you get too much sway, you will be cut at the knees. And it's just so important to support each other in these marginalized communities and not look at the now, like what is happening now. Like look at what happened during the 60s. Look at what happened during so many different wars where there was race and class solidarity. Because like history is what will then like root us and be able to not let us be swayed by their tactics of division. Anyway, stream Janet Jackson, watch Bring It On, and like fuck anyone who tells you that you're not desirable. Because in the end, they want you to hate yourself so much that you do the work for them.
First of all, no racial group is a monolith. There are Asians who study hard, there are Asians who don't. There are Black people who study hard, and there are Black people who don't. And second of all, can we take a step back and recognize how ridiculous it is to compare racial groups in a country that have completely different backgrounds and histories? But in the US, among high selectivity immigrants, African immigrants actually have a higher education level than East Asian immigrants, and in particular Nigerian immigrants have a higher education level than Chinese and South Korean immigrants. So it has nothing to do with Asian or Black. But do you know why we started comparing Asians and Black people in the United States? It's because in the 1950s and 60s, when the United States was engaging in military actions in Korea, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, bringing democracy to Asia and fighting against communism. As the civil rights movement gained in momentum and attention, people around the world started wondering, with all of the racism and injustice in the United States, who are Americans to go to any other country and tell them how to be? So the United States said, no, Chinese Americans and Japanese Americans are being great. You can look. They're not protesting. They're quiet, they're working hard, they're living their lives, and they're doing fine. The problem is the loud, angry, protesting Black people. And do you notice how the model minority myth only ever goes in one direction to make Black people look bad? Because let's take the model Asian who studies really hard. Do you know who else they're studying much harder than? White people. In 2021, among 18 to 24-year-olds, college enrollment among Asian Americans was 60%, among white people it was 38%, and among Black people it was 37%. So among white and Black people it was about the same. But struggling white people do not get told you would be doing better if you were more like Asian Americans with their strong family values and their emphasis on academics. As a matter of fact, when Asians get compared to white people, Asian success is an indication that Asians are stealing opportunities and resources from white people and that we don't belong here.
I've been seeing a lot more content about Black and Asian solidarity, so I wanted to share my story. Before I was embraced by Asian folks, I found a sense of belonging in the Black community first. It's where I learned about brotherhood and camaraderie, and also how to rap. And even now, as someone who's unapologetically Asian as fuck, my love and respect remains the same. Because honestly, if the Black community in Atlanta didn't support me and encourage me to rap when I was a teen, I probably wouldn't be an artist right now. By the way, these type of cultural exchanges have been happening way before me, and it's more common than you think. So don't let social media make you think we're all against each other.
So why didn't more Asian Americans vote for Kamala in November? Well, Asians in the US have nothing close to the unity that Black Americans and other members of the African diaspora have. Asian America is so divided that I don't even think there is a thing of Asian Americans. It's just a very convenient way to sort us based on which continent we came from. As Hassan Minhaj said, white racism is hating people who look different from you. Asian racism is hating people who look exactly like you. So let's look at Kamala Harris. She's half Jamaican and half Indian. First of all, a lot of Asian Americans are not kind to mixed people and will often hesitate to accept a mixed person who shares their ethnicity as part of their group. But I've noticed that in the Black community, y'all are just like, okay, you got a Black parent, you're Black. Yes, there is like mixed people dialogue, I see that, but it's nowhere close to the overall alienation that Asian Americans, for example, I'm Chinese, and I see, there's a lot of unkind things that people say to half Chinese people, whether their other half is Black or white or anything else. Second of all, Kamala is not only Indian, she is specifically Tamil. She's from the very southern part of India. Among South Asians, according to many of my friends, and Hassan, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis, they want to differentiate themselves from Indian people and they do not claim Indian people. And among Indian people, a lot of them are not great towards South Indians. There's a lot of colorism because South Indian people tend to be a little bit darker. And then if you zoom out to Southeast and East Asians, we consider South Asians a completely different race. Like, I've heard my own family members say derogatory things about Koreans, who to most people in the US look exactly the fuck like us. So not only do most Asian Americans not consider Kamala part of us because she is mixed and because she is South Indian, a lot of us are trying to suck up to the people in power, specifically whiteness. I'm calling this out. It does not give other people an excuse to be racist toward us. Just letting you know that that's the ground rule. A lot of our parents and our grandparents, they left countries that they were actively rebelling against. Like, you saw the protests in Hong Kong and South Korea very recently. There's a civil war that went on in Myanmar. Asians have plenty of revolutionary spirit. We have many times in our home countries told the man to suck it. But then we get here, there's this like worship of America because a lot of the immigrant generation doesn't know American history very well or was taught it, the propagandized version during their citizenship exam. So they don't know the history of how minorities, specifically Black and Indigenous people, were treated here. And they think that by supporting like a literal narcissist and being like the favorite child, supporting Trump means that he's not going to touch our community. Like, my parents will even look at Cantonese speaking or like lower income Chinese people and be like, oh, if they get deported, it still won't affect us. We are the same ethnicity. They will look at that and be like, oh, but like we got fancy graduate degrees and we got fancy office jobs, so they won't deport us. It's like a competition of pick-me-ism all the way up until you get to the level of Usha Vance or Mitch McConnell's Taiwanese wife, Elaine Chao. A lot of Asian Americans, the ones who voted for Trump especially, but like also some people who voted for Kamala or didn't vote, they're like stacked in this endless not like other girls competition until something happens to them. And then suddenly they want to be Asian Americans, suddenly they want to be people of color. So yeah, most Asian Americans didn't see Kamala as one of us. And it's a huge problem. Hope that helps.
Majority of the Asian business community is extremely exploitative and racist towards Black people.
Okay, let's address this. My initial reaction to this was one of defensiveness and anger, and I'm sure many of you guys felt the same. But we should not disregard some very valid points that this creator makes. We do have a problem with anti-blackness and colorism within our community. We see that with the discord between ethnic groups within our own community, and that translates out to how some of us treat people with darker skin outside of our community as well. Obviously, it's not all of us because we're not a racial monolith, but I have seen it, and I know you have seen it too. I think we tend to tense up when we hear other people calling out our community for racial prejudice. It's natural to feel defensive because the majority of us are not actively trying to hurt other people. But I think we have to understand that as human beings, we all have some sort of racial prejudice towards others. We're born into a racist society. We have had racist stereotypes hammered into us since birth. But we really need to make a good effort to listen, because if we don't listen, we can't be better for our own community and we can't be better allies. I have more to say in part 2.
I am begging Asian American women to stand up, especially East Asians. Girls like Esther from the Under the Influence podcast, I'm talking to y'all. Stop surrounding yourself with mediocre racist men and stop seeking validation from them. Because you saw the validation from them and let's say you got it. Congrats, now what? The only thing you validated is the fact that you're just like them and that you're asinine, anti-black, and you're fine with promoting misogynoir. Instead of wasting everyone's time and brain cells, go read a book. Go expand your socio-political, cultural knowledge beyond just boba tea liberalism. And I am begging y'all to not only decenter men, but to also decenter whiteness. Stop selling your souls to male validation and to whatever proximity to whiteness you think you have. Because it only ends up hurting you, it only ends up hurting us, and it only ends up hurting other people
I'm
of color,
really
especially women of
shocked
color.
that these people, of all people in the world, will actually be complaining and saying people are being racial towards them. When everybody knows that in the whole world, nobody is as racial as the Asians. Now I'm surprised. They said, oh, in America, even the whites are racial towards them, right? Even amongst them too. There's this part of racism too. And I'm like, why is there, racism everywhere? The blacks have theirs, Asians too have theirs. Some of them are complaining, oh, Japanese are not treating me well, oh, Koreans are not treating me well, Vietnamese are not treating me. The same thing. A lot of them will be like, they keep looking at me somehow. And I'm like, what's happening? What is it, you guys? Where did you guys drink this water from? Is it from the orange man? Anyways, we'll know. Welcome to Global Gist with BJ. Right, as I take you through this trending topic, yeah, these people have been everywhere on the internet. And I'm like, let me bring the gist to you. Watch them talk about how they regretted Africans not getting themselves aligned with Africans. They would have really, really aligned themselves with Africans. How they are suffering in America from racism and all of that. And I'll be back with the commentaries. See you.
Asian hate is downplayed and extremely minimized, and I think that is partially due to our education and how only 6% of the American population is Asian. As Americans, we're not taught history, especially history about what America has done wrong. In the past, America has passed laws prohibiting Chinese immigrants from entering the country, and after Pearl Harbor, over 120,000 Japanese Americans lost their constitutional rights simply because of their ethnicity. Like many other ethnic groups in America, Asians have experienced some brutal violence, like in the Rock Springs Massacre. 30 Chinese immigrants were murdered. And let's not forget some more recent events, like in 2020 when there was a surge of hate crimes towards East Asians and Southeast Asians, and the coronavirus being called the China virus. Now, Asian hate isn't just something in the history books or something that you could search up online. I lived it. In no way am I comparing my experiences to what happened in the past. I'm just sharing some personal experiences. Growing up as an Asian American, I would bring my food to school and people would joke that I was eating a dog or a cat or complaining about the smell of my food. Strangers would come up to me and shout random Asian sounding words and asking me if I understood it. People would pull their eyes back to mock me and then use slurs to describe my eyes. During the pandemic, people personally came up to me and told me that I started coronavirus, as if I brought it here. And growing up as an Asian American was difficult because I wasn't Asian enough for the people in Asia, and I didn't look like the people here in America. I felt like I didn't really fit in, and even when people would make jokes about my race or the way I looked, and I stood up for myself, they would say that I was overreacting, I was being insensitive. It was just a joke.
I've noticed Asian Americans, especially first generation Asians, are extremely negative. And I say this as a reflection to myself because I'm a pretty negative person. Like, if you think about what is like the worst thing about me, it's that I'm kind of negative. And I don't mean to be negative. It's not like I go out of my way to be negative. I think my brain is automatically like seeking negativity. And there's a whole lot of like, if you dig deep into like history and all of that, like I'm Chinese, my parents grew up, like they were babies during the largest genocide in history. So of course your mindset and like through decades of trauma, what is it called, intergenerational trauma, you're gonna seek out the negative. But I have noticed when talking to like friends or people of Asian descent, there's always a very negative kind of mindset or bringing negative things out. And I have noticed with my Caucasian friends or more American friends, I feel like if there's a negative thing, they kind of like almost bury it down. And I feel like there's a very Caucasian, again, I'm generalizing, but a very like Caucasian American mindset of if there's anything negative in your life, you just like don't deal with it. You don't think about it. You just like kind of bury it down. And maybe that's why we have an epidemic of alcoholism and depression and people taking like depression meds and stuff. Because as a culture, they're not taught to like talk it out or like bring it up. They're just kind of taught to like push it away and like bury it down. And I can see both pros and cons with being negative and also pushing it down. But I think like a balance is good. Like obviously, if things are not going well, you want to be able to speak about it and you want to kind of seek assistance and help. But obviously you don't want to be like super negative and like seek out negative situations. And so for me, something I'm trying to work on in the later half of 2023 is to be more like positive and to kind of push down the negativity a little bit more because I'm very much like flaunting the negativity. And on TikTok, I don't mean to like flaunt the negativity. I just mean to talk about things that I'm going through so that way you can learn from me and not repeat my mistakes. But yeah, just something I'm doing.
Calling me yellow, saying that my eyes look weird or I should go back to my country doesn't bother me. When I was 11, I came to the US as an adoptee by an American family, and I grew up in the Midwest, like 2 hours outside of Chicago, and it always been hard because I was the target. It's just because I look a little bit different. I don't have blue eyes, you know, per usual, and I was grew up around a lot of white people. I would always try to fit in and like try not to bring out my culture because it's not normalized where I live. My whole childhood, people would always ask me if I ate cats and dogs. As I grew older and had like life experience, I realized it's all on the parent to teach their child about different cultures, where people came from, and not like, you know, target them. Yesterday I was reading this comment and somebody like commented about my eyes because I have a lazy eye, okay? I do. Sometimes it would like look different than the other in my videos, or I'm not looking right at the camera. It's common. And anytime I would get these hate comments, I don't even like bother to look at the profile because most of the time they're kids, and that's on their parent to teach them not to be mean to other people on the internet. But if it's an adult, I'm gonna clap back, because if you're gonna be a grown adult, targeting someone on the internet you don't know and calling them names based on their looks. That's unacceptable. When I first went viral, I was pregnant and somebody was like, I never seen a Chinese pregnant lady before. And I literally blew up with that video. Like, if you're an OG follower, you probably know that was like my first viral video on here. After that video went viral, people would call me Asian fishing because I don't act Asian enough, I guess. And that's on me for growing up and trying to like suppress my race because I was bullied a lot for, you know, the way I looked. Now I just normalize who I am and where I came from. All I'm trying to say is people just need to get outside and experience life and know that there's other cultures besides US. Oh, also, my speech problem. Yes, my English sometimes sucks and I talk really slow because when I was 11, I was literally reading taller books. So, like, I just kept focusing on getting my English right throughout my whole life instead of, like, experience life. The whole point of this video is, if you're a parent, please teach your kids about other people's culture and like not let them bully other kids if they look a little bit different. Because can you imagine if the whole world, everybody looks the same with blonde hair, blue eyes, and just walk around and talk the same? We are all unique and different in our own ways, and that's what makes us. Okay? Also, I do have to say, I do not see a lot of like Chinese American like creators on here who actually advocate for people like us who's adopted and had to experience life. Since now I have a following, I'm going to speak up about our culture, where we came from, and how we grew up as an adoptee. And if you are an adoptee, just let you know you're not alone. I'm here with you. If you need someone to talk to, just reach out. I'm here, girl or bro. I'm taking my daughter to Disney on Ice, so I'm getting ready while she's taking a nap. Bye.
I didn't like being Asian when I grew up. The kids in school always made me feel bad for the lunches my mom packed, to the point where I begged her not to pack me another school lunch. They made me feel so uncomfortable that I don't even speak a second language fluently. In public settings, my mom wouldn't speak Vietnamese, and if she did, I would get mad and be like, no, you can't do that. Because deep down inside, I was embarrassed, and I knew the kids would make fun of me. So for a long time, I didn't really embrace who I was. I wanted to look like everybody else. I wanted to have blonde hair. I even wanted a different nose, all because I wanted to fit in. I hated when my name was called out because no one could ever pronounce my last name. And I'll never forget during graduation, they said my full name, and my middle names and last name is Vietnamese. And even when I wrote down the pronunciation on the card, they still said it wrong. In fact, everyone I knew kept saying my last name wrong for years. Got to the point where I just didn't correct them anymore, I just accepted it. So when people used to ask me like, hey, did you get bullied growing up? I would say no. Because I think a part of me just blocked it out. Or I basically normalized what happened to me. Because yeah, the kids used to make fun of my eyes, the color of my skin, the language that we spoke, the foods that I ate. And as a kid, when you've been traumatized consistently for that long, you learn ways to cope. You block it out. You pretend that it's normal. And then it hits you when you get older and you realize how much it actually hurt you. And that's why I find it incredibly important to speak up, to represent other people that look like me, to be the big sister that I never had. Tell you that it's super cool to know another language. That just because you don't have the typical English name does not make you any less cool. And fuck those kids.
I love how people are anti-racist, but as soon as it's regarding racism towards Asians, it's disgustingly normalized. I see videos of people mocking Asians or just being full-on racist towards Asians. I see people in the streets of New York City literally harassing and being racist to Asian people, especially the elderly. And what's even more disheartening is that the comments that are left on these posts are people laughing, mocking, or telling Asians to get over it. The fact that the C slur is still commonly used is just mind-blowing. But anyways, yeah, if you are going to be preaching about how you are anti-racism, please include Asians in that.
I have a burning, sizzling hot take, and I may be wrong. This might be a terrible take. Maybe I'm spewing BS, I don't know, but it's just a feeling I have. I feel like that lady that went viral recently, that Indian lady for stealing merchandise at Target, I feel like if she was a white lady, people would immediately clock that she has mental health issues. And I'm telling you right now, I personally think that she's not mentally right in the head. I feel like this woman is mentally ill. Because if you see in the video, she's actually making her case worse. The police officer said that she stole $500 of merchandise, and she went and said, no, I actually stole more. Why would you say that? And the fact that she keeps saying over and over, she'll pay for it, she'll pay for it, she'll pay for it. I don't know what is wrong with her, but something is definitely wrong with her. And I just feel like if it was a white person doing this, y'all would immediately clock that. Like y'all would immediately clock if when a white person commits a crime, is either they were drunk or they were on substances or they have mental health issues. But for some reason, y'all don't give that grace to people of color. When people of color do that, they're just automatically bad people. Now, I'm not excusing what she did. She did a terrible thing and she should face the consequences of it. Like, that's not an excuse. It's an explanation. But again, I just feel like if it was a white person that did this, y'all would be like mental health issues and stuff. Like, you just give so much more grace to white people. Like, it's a fact. Like, we have to be perfect. Us people of color have to be perfect, top notch. on our best behavior. But yet white people get so much leeway. They're not generalized, and it's not fair.
Microaggressions against Asians. Let's finally talk about it, shall we? I grew up around the Seattle area, so it's diverse, and I saw people who look like me. Not to say that that shields anyone from racism, but there are places that are worse. Like the time I traveled to Florida. First of all the stares that me and my family got. Dead ass, it was like this. And I caught on to it real quickly because I wasn't used to that at home. And then I went to a beach in Miami. These two guys approached me and they were like, "Hey, Jeremy Lin." And at the time I was in high school and hadn't unpacked the model minority in me yet. So I was like, "Hey." And then they were like, "Can we take a picture with you?" And you know, I'm chill. So I'm like, "All right." And they took a picture with me. And then they were like, "Hey, let's show everyone our little Asian friend." Which now looking back was pretty freaking condescending. And I didn't see it like that before. Yeah, it did feel kind of weird and I felt kind of awkward. But I gave them the benefit of the doubt and was like, "Hey, they're nice. They think I'm cool," which is pretty freaking sad, especially since I was treated like a spectacle, like some Disney character at Disneyland. What, you want an autograph too? So that's an example of microaggression, because at the surface, it seems like they're giving you a compliment, but it just makes you feel downplayed, belittled, and condescended. And I walked away from that experience like, that was kind of weird, but whatever. And that whatever mentality, the one that shrugs off problems like it's not a big deal, is deep rooted in the Asian American experience. Does being tolerant and easygoing make us harder or more likable? You might hear this story and say, "You're just being too sensitive," but maybe Asians need to be more sensitive so that we can stop being a pawn or a little minion and finally get the respect that we deserve. If you're Asian and have any experience with racism, then drop it in the comments.
Here's a hot take. Hanging out with only your ethnic group is a red flag. So this means that if you're Asian, only hanging out with other Asian people, and if you're white, only hanging out with other white people, etc. And this is not to say all those people are bad. It's just a general pattern that I picked up. And this is because I believe every ethnic group has a flaw. And when you only hang around people of your ethnic group, that flaw gets amplified. There's no outside opinions to fix that. I have a friend who was telling me how they can't date Asian girls anymore because they're all toxic. And then I took a look at his dating history, and it's because all the Asian girls he dated in the past are from Markham. And no hate to Markham, but I've seen your guys' high school yearbooks. There's like no diversity there whatsoever. All the Asian girls that he's dated in the past had a full Asian friend group. You should start looking for the girls who grew up in more diverse neighborhoods or who grew up as a minority, because they build character. I think that the flaw that the Asian ethnic group has is that traditionally parents are very comparative of their children. I'm sure y'all could relate. You come home with a 90 on your math exam, and then your parents tell you how your cousin Timmy got a 95. Or you get into your dream school, and then your parents tell you that their friend from work's daughter got into Harvard. And all this comparison leads to hella insecurities in relationships. If you're dating an Asian girl, don't even say another single word about another girl, because your girl gonna start comparing yourself to that girl. And this over-comparativeness flaw is also why people say Asian friend groups are hella toxic, because they're constantly in competition with each other. They can never support each other's wins. Everyone is always trying to one-up each other. And again, these are all generalizations. I'm not saying everyone is like that. They're just patterns that I happen to pick up. Let me know what you guys think.
Now that Asian racism is in the conversation and being taken seriously right now, let's talk about the times that I faced racism growing up as an Asian in the American Midwest. The thick skin you have to develop growing up in a white suburb of Minnesota. I was the only Asian kid, or one of the only Asian kids, in every school that I went to. So you always have like the classic, like they'll do this with their eyes when I was growing up, which is crazy. Like they'll never know how to pronounce your name and never even try. Honestly, a really sad memory I had was I was always made fun of for the lunches I would bring. So there was a day that I brought rice and like this type of dry pork. It's called tabang in Vietnamese. And it was one of my favorite things to eat ever. And I brought it to lunch and I was so excited to eat it. And then a bunch of the popular boys in elementary school, I was like in 4th grade or something, they came and they were like, "What is that?" And they were like kind of making fun of it. And then they like wanted to try it. And I think it was so good and delicious. I was like, "Yeah, try it." And then they were like, eating, they'd be like, "Whoa, like what is that?" And then I just felt really embarrassed and they were truly shaming me for it. So I remember that night I came home and I told my mom, I was like crying, and I said, "I only want American lunches from now on. Like we have to pack sandwiches." So we went to the grocery store and I made her help me like pick out bread and peanut butter and jelly. And I never really ate those things. I mean, I would prefer my rice lunches, but I remember from then on I started only packing peanut butter sandwiches, which is so sad. But sometimes you just like assimilate out of survival. I remember there were times, especially walking around in Europe, but even like where I was growing up, where people would be like, "Oh, are you from China? Are you Chinese?" Like, "Ni hao," when just because you're Asian doesn't mean that you're Chinese. I remember there was a time I was in Italy, and Italy is obviously like really racist to Asians, or maybe it's not obvious, but that is true. Like they will say "ni hao" if you're walking across the street. But it was an American family that we were sitting next to in front of the dinner table at a restaurant in Italy, and they were like ching chong to us and like doing the eyes at me. And I remember I was like 15, like 14 or 15, and I was literally trying my best not to cry. I remember that was like such a hurtful experience. That was like a really blatantly racist experience. There was also another time growing up, I would go to temple every Sunday, not because we were religious, but because there was a Vietnamese school after service. So that's where I would learn Vietnamese and like practice reading and writing Vietnamese. Then the school went secular and they started renting from the high school right next to the temple, which was a Christian school, like a Catholic private school. We would rent from them on Sundays, and we would like, they would split it with barriers in half from like their Sunday service and then our Vietnamese school on the other side of the school. But their side of the school had all the water fountains. you guys kind of get where this is coming at. So we would always have lunch period where we would kind of have recess and play with the kids. And I was a teaching assistant because I was like 16 or 17. I had graduated and I was teaching the kids. So I was like a TA there. After recess, like all the kids would be really thirsty. So then I would sneak them over the border to drink from this one water fountain. And there was one day that I got caught by like one of the Christian ladies there. And she was like, what are you doing on this side? And I was like, sorry, they wanted water. Like they were thirsty. She was like, you don't belong on this side of this school. And I was like, what? Like, okay, sorry. And she's like, you don't belong here. Do you get me? You don't belong here. Like, it was clear what she was trying to say. And I just remember, like, feeling so hurt. And I was only 16 or 17. And my dad, who was the president of the school, or, like, one of the founders of the school, like, came over. He's like, what's going on here? And she was like, you guys don't belong here. Like, and he apologized that we were on their side of the school. But then she kept saying that. And he was like, okay, be careful. Because when you say you don't belong here, that can mean a lot of things. I just remember he was defending me. But those were some of, like, the stories that I can remember. I'm sure there's so much that I blacked out and blocked out from growing up in, like, the suburbs of Minnesota. Being one of the only Asian people growing up did a number on me. Like, you definitely learn how to have a thick skin and how to be proud of yourself regardless of what people think of you. But it's actually crazy that, like, I had to, like, grow up that way.
Today was a really bad day. I was discriminated against face to face for the first time. I had never experienced anything like that before, so it was really upsetting. I was waiting for the bus with my friend when an old guy walked past us. The way he looked at us, it was like we were something dirty. He said something to us, but I couldn't get what it was. Still, I was sure it was discrimination. When I asked my friends, she told me he said something like, you were Chinese. If he had just asked, are you Chinese? Normally that wouldn't have made me angry, but it wasn't like that. He spat near us and grabbed us. It made me feel so uncomfortable, so sad, and honestly, I'm frustrated at myself for getting so angry at someone like that. A person who doesn't even matter. I'm wondering how this kind of thing can even happen. If more things like this happen, I feel like I break. Yeah. So pretty sad things, and I'm so sad. I was crying, and yeah.
This is a message to all my people of color, specifically women of color, and even more specifically Asian women of color, that you are not as safe as you think you might be just because you haven't run into an incident since COVID. Unfortunately, I guess it is my fault for believing that the world was a little bit better and a little bit safer, so I guess it is my fault for operating under the assumption that I was safe to exist. I was just going to the gas station, the card wasn't working, so I had to go into the little store to go to the register and be like, hey, could you put 20 on this pump or whatever? But as I'm walking in to go do that, there are these two, like, kind of bigger, taller guys, and they're kind of sidestepping me. And at first, I'm thinking, like, maybe they look a little bit young, kind of college age, maybe they're just kind of goofing around with each other. So I go into the store about my business. I pay for my gas, and I go out of the store, and they're sidestepping me again. And then, as I, dodge to avoid them, they start calling me slurs. They start calling me slurs, and specifically messing with me, and following me to my car. Calling me slurs still. Any woman knows that it's terrifying to be followed by a man, let alone two men who are towering over you. I'm only 5'1". But the added layer of them calling you racial slurs while following you and intimidating you is just, like, my fucking heart was racing. Like, luckily I had a male friend in my car, so when I got there, they backed off once they saw that I was safe. But, like, if he hadn't been there, if I hadn't had this white man with me, I'm pretty used to getting racist comments online, and I've learned to block that out because it's like, whatever, it's just words on a screen. But when it's happening directly to your face, when there's somebody there that could literally just put hands on you, it's fucking terrifying, especially as a young adult. Because the last time that I had racism, in my face like that was high school, in a controlled high school environment. So this was like a fucking reality check for me. All that is just to say, be safe.
Why are so many Asian Americans so silent right now? That's because they didn't vote. Yes, they didn't vote because they didn't like Kamala from their internal misogyny or internal racism and felt indifferent enough about the orange man so that they thought that a no vote was going to the orange man. So the reason why they're not upset right now is because they voted for this. That's why. And that's not me excusing their behavior. I am a disabled person. I was advocating for Kamala before the election, so I had the chance to talk to a lot of my friends. They're not my friends anymore, but people in my life about how this election was going to affect me and people like me, and if they cared about me, why they should vote for Kamala, and they still didn't care. They couldn't care less, because at the end of the day, it was all about taxes. Yeah, their tax break. The problem is, Asians that have a level of wealth feel this closeness to white people because white people were the only ones that had that level of wealth for so long that they feel like they're getting a chance to be part of the white club, but they're not. And if I could give an insight into maybe why Asians are like this, it's because a lot of our parents and like even my generation as a millennial, we have seen our mother countries very impoverished. Like for me, I'm Korean, so I know South Korea's history. Like South Korea was fully bankrupt in the 80s and saw their first economic boom in the 2000s. It hasn't been that long, and they're in like the top 20 GDP in the world now. That level of wealth growth, normal citizens see that and think, oh my god, if I'm just smart enough and if I invest correctly, I can also get there. And if you look at South Korea, it's an oligarchy. That country is ran by like 3 families, and the main one is the Samsung family. And they have so many scandals. They have done some bad stuff, and the country just lets them get away with it. And if you look at the election turnout, it shows that South Koreans are starting to wake up to the state of like, oh, we're an oligarchy. But Korean Americans, look at the past of Korea, see that you can still succeed, feel like there's a privilege of being in America, utilize the model minority method, and then try to enter the 1%. They think that they could break into the 1%. Wake up. You're not. You're not white enough. You will never be white enough. They will never accept you.
So the truth is, each time Asians complain about racism, I am shocked. I'm serious, like I am shocked. If you ask me, I would say Haitians are the highest racist in the world. Because these people will see you in the bus, especially if you're not their race. Probably you're my race. When they see you, be it on the train or anything, they'll do this. Look at this video. This is what she's doing. It's like that everywhere. So many of us have encountered them. Even as neighbors, so we're living. You will see them once they're coming out from their own house, or maybe they just see you, they do this. So I'm shocked when they're complaining and they're saying, oh, people are being very, very racial to them. People are treating them somehow. People are doing this to them. People are not able to call their name. They call their name in derogatory ways. And I'm like, come on, you people, are you even okay? I'm talking as a Nigerian right now. They have, if you ask me my opinion, they have no business with, oh, someone treated me badly. Because these people will never treat you well, you know. If you're in their country, they won't treat you well. So I'm even shocked seeing them trying to say, oh, that blacks are good, that they should start aligning themselves with black. And I'm like, what the heck is this? What the heck is going on here? Are you serious right now? What changed? The way America is, according to the people I heard from, they said a lot of them didn't even vote in this election. Do you know why? They won't vote Kamala Harris because she is black. And as you all know, Kamala Harris is half Asian and half black, right? They said they always have a problem with voting for people that are mixed race. In fact, they don't even like mixed race at all, right? So they always have a problem with that. And they thought that not voting at all would be a no for Uncle Trump, not knowing that not voting alone, not voting for Kamala Harris, would even make the orange man to win. Imagine if they all had gone out to vote for Kamala Harris. It would have made a significant difference. Right. But right now, they, because of, oh, this person is not our whatever, oh, we don't even think she's going to treat us well. Oh, what the heck is this? Oh, we don't want this color. That and that alone made them to forsake their mercy. And right now they're crying, they're saying, oh, they're treating us badly, they're deporting us, they're telling us to go back to our countries. Oh, we thought we had the same skin color. Who do you want to deceive? You people are liars. You said your skin color never made them not to deport you. Your skin color made them still laugh at you in your school, in your workplaces, or everywhere. You complain. And now you're thinking, oh, because of that particular white race that you are, that nobody is going to send it to your country. If you're illegal in America, your ass is going to go back home. Get that straight. It has nothing to do with your race or anything. I don't know why you people want to take this thing as an advantage. It's not fair. If you all could sit down wherever you are and start thinking, oh, the black Americans are also going to be sent away, which is even delusion, if you ask me. That's delulu for me. How would you feel those people are going to be sent away from the country they knew all their lives? They didn't know if they belong to Africa or anywhere. You think they will send them away? And you, that have somewhere you're coming from, won't be sent away. You that have severally said, oh, these people are racially abusing me, you will not be sent away. That's delusional. You guys, if you know that you are illegal in America and you're Asian, please one more, go to your place, okay? Go home. Voluntarily leave before they take you to the detention centers, I mean the detainment center, whatever it's called. Because you're going to be taken there. Of course, a lot of you have been taken there. And not just being taken there alone. They're going to send you to us in Africa. Yeah, and when they send you to Africa, we'll see you too. Just like you've been treating us in your country, we're going to do like, and probably we're going to also laugh at you. So you know how painful this is. See, I don't like racism. I am not racist. I love everybody. Oh my God, I wish everybody can just be me, to be honest. I don't think this world will have problems, right? But yeah, everybody cannot be me. That is it. So you guys chose, the racist parts. You guys chose, oh, these people are maybe animals or anything. So deal with whatever you're going to get from this. I don't even know why a lot of you haven't been sent back home. Deal with it. So guys, do you think I'm saying the wrong thing? Let me say in the comment section. If you know these guys have treated you badly, let me know in the comment section, because they are now accusing Americans as well. Let me see. Please do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and turn on your notification button. I'll bring you more gists on Global Gist with BJ. Thank you so much. Bye.